Imagine you wake up in a hospital bed. Your body is full of bullets. You can barely move. And just 2 rooms away, the man who destroyed your entire life, your own father, is also lying there, recovering. He tried to kill you. The government protected him for decades. And now, the entire corrupt system wants to silence you forever. This is not a movie. This is Lisbeth Salander in The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, the woman who refused to stay broken and decided to burn everything down instead. Imagine waking up in a hospital bed, your body riddled with bullets, barely able to move, while the man who tried to kill you, your own father, lies just 2 rooms away. That's exactly where we find Lisbeth Salander at the start of Stieg Larsson's explosive finale to the Millennium Trilogy, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. If you've read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Girl Who Played with Fire, you know Lisbeth isn't just a hacker with a dragon tattoo. She's a survivor of unimaginable abuse, from her sadistic father, from the state that locked her away as a child, from men who saw her as disposable. In this 3rd book, Lisbeth doesn't just survive. She kicks the hornet's nest wide open. She takes on a secret cabal inside Sweden's security service, corrupt psychiatrists, crooked cops, and the ghosts of her own past. Today, we're diving deep into this masterful thriller. We'll explore the plot without major spoilers for those who haven't read it, but we'll also unpack the themes: institutional betrayal, the power of truth, and one woman's unrelenting fight for justice against a system designed to silence her. If you love stories of revenge, resilience, and taking down the powerful, this is for you. Stick around till the end for why this book hits so hard even today. Let's begin. The story picks up literally seconds after the brutal climax of The Girl Who Played with Fire. A helicopter fights through a storm, rushing 2 patients to Sahlgrenska Hospital in Göteborg. One is Alexander Zalachenko, a former Soviet defector, spy, and cold-blooded abuser. The other is his daughter, Lisbeth Salander, 27 years old, with bullets in her brain, shoulder, and hip. Lisbeth had finally confronted the monster from her childhood. She swung an axe into her father's face in self-defense. But her half-brother, Ronald Niederman, a giant with congenital analgesia, meaning he feels no pain, had already shot her multiple times. At the hospital, Dr. Anders Jonasson performs emergency surgery to remove the bullet lodged in Salander's brain. He saves her life, even though the media has already painted her as a deranged triple murderer. 2 rooms away, Zalachenko is also recovering from the axe wound. Father and daughter, both alive, both dangerous to each other. Meanwhile, journalist Mikael Blomkvist, Lisbeth's unlikely ally from the first book, is arrested at the scene by an incompetent local cop. This mistake allows Niederman to escape, setting off a new wave of violence. Lisbeth wakes up weak, in pain, and under police guard. She can barely speak or move, but her mind, sharp as ever. She knows the system is coming for her again, just like when she was 12 years old and tried to kill Zalachenko to protect her mother. The state didn't believe her. Instead, they locked her in a psychiatric clinic and subjected her to horrific abuse under psychiatrist Dr. Peter Teleborian. This time, Lisbeth refuses to be a victim. Even from her hospital bed, she starts planning. Here's where the book becomes a political conspiracy thriller. Behind Zalachenko's crimes lies the Section, a rogue faction inside SÄPO, Sweden's security service. In the 1970s, they helped Zalachenko defect from the Soviet Union and protected him for decades. Why? Because he was useful. In return, they covered up his brutal abuse of women, including Lisbeth's mother, Agneta. When young Lisbeth threatened to expose him, the section, with help from Teleborian, had her declared legally incompetent and institutionalized. They tortured her, restrained her, and tried to break her spirit, all to protect their asset and national security secrets. Now, with Zalachenko and Salander both in the same hospital, the section panics. Their former leader, the aging Evert Gulberg, takes drastic action. He's dying of cancer and willing to do anything to bury the truth. What follows is a cat-and-mouse game of assassinations, cover-ups, and surveillance. The section wants Salander silenced permanently. They want Blomkvist stopped too, because he's digging into the story for his magazine Millennium. Larsson brilliantly shows how power works in the shadows. These aren't cartoon villains. They're bureaucrats, policemen, and doctors who believe they're above the law. They destroy lives to protect the institution. Lisbeth, meanwhile, gets a secret weapon smuggled in, her palm tungsten T, 3PDA. With it, she hacks, communicates with her few trusted allies, and begins writing her own story, a detailed autobiography that will become her ultimate weapon in court. Lisbeth has always been a lone wolf, antisocial, distrustful, brilliant. But in Hornet's nest, she's forced to rely on others, whether she likes it or not. Mikael Blomkvist leads the charge at Millennium. With his sister, lawyer Annika Giannini, they prepare Salander's defense. Annika becomes a crucial figure, fighting not just for Lisbeth, but against a rigged legal system. Police Inspector Jan Bublansky and his team start seeing through the lies. Even some insiders in Sapo, like Monica Figueroa, get pulled into the fight for truth. There are parallel threads that add depth. Erica Berger's struggles at a new newspaper job, showing how powerful men harass women in professional spaces. Threats, break-ins, and psychological warfare target anyone getting too close to the section. Lisbeth's hacker network, the Knights of the Round Table, and others, plays a quiet but vital role, feeding information and exposing secrets. The tension builds as Blomkvist races to publish the exposé before the section can strike again. Larsson fills the pages with meticulous details, phone taps, secret documents, internal memos, making the conspiracy feel terrifyingly real. At the heart of it all is Lisbeth's refusal to play by their rules. She won't cooperate fully with her lawyers at first. She won't beg. She observes, calculates, and waits for her moment. The climax of the book is one of the most satisfying courtroom sequences in modern fiction. Lisbeth Salander stands trial, charged with attempted murder and other crimes. The prosecution, backed by the corrupt Teleborian, wants to lock her away again as mentally incompetent. They paint her as a dangerous, antisocial, possibly lesbian psychopath. Classic misogynistic tropes used to discredit strong women who don't conform. But this time, things are different. Annika Giannini dismantles the case piece by piece. Blomkvist's investigation provides devastating evidence. Witnesses are exposed. The section's dirty secrets start spilling out in open court. Lisbeth herself finally gets to speak, in her own terse, no-nonsense way. She doesn't plead for sympathy. She demands accountability. The trial isn't just about one woman. It's about the Swedish welfare state's failures, the abuse of psychiatric power, and how society treats victims of domestic violence and state overreach. Larsson, a former journalist who exposed right-wing extremism, pours his real-world anger into these scenes. Without giving away the verdict, let's just say, the hornet's nest gets kicked hard. Consequences rain down on the guilty. After the dust settles, Lisbeth begins to reclaim her life. She inherits part of Zalachenko's estate, including an old factory, and confronts the remaining shadows of her past, including her monstrous half-brother. She travels. She reconnects, on her own terms, with friends like Miriam Wu. She remains the same fiercely independent woman, but perhaps a little less alone. The book closes on a note of hard-won justice, but not fairy tale happiness. Lisbeth Salander doesn't suddenly become warm and fuzzy. That's what makes her so compelling. The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest is more than a thriller. It's a story about fighting back against abusers, whether they're violent fathers, rapists like her former guardian Niels Bierman, or an entire corrupt system. Lisbeth represents every survivor who was told to stay quiet, who was gaslit by authorities, who was labeled difficult or crazy for resisting. Her rage is justified. Her methods are extreme, but in Larsson's world, sometimes extreme measures are the only way to expose the truth. Stieg Larsson died before seeing the massive success of his books. He wrote them partly as a way to process his own experiences with extremism and injustice. Through Lisbeth and Mikael, he shows that ordinary people, journalists, hackers, honest cops, can challenge power when they work together. If you haven't read the trilogy, start with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. If you have, this finale delivers the payoff Lisbeth deserves. What do you think? Is Lisbeth the ultimate anti-heroine? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if you love strong female leads who don't need saving.